Wow.
Welcome to the video. As always, before we get started, we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachodash. And next, double honors to the head apostle / elder bishop of the great millstone, who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere. I can keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of what we're here or therefore bear. All right, so this is going to be a movie review of the movie Sinners. Okay, all the brothers, the brother Rayab is not with us right now, but he did his own review, which I'll post in the comment section of this video later on. But we all went to go see that movie Sinners yesterday at the camp, and it was a wonderful movie. It was a great movie, very exciting, good acting, good plot. But we're gonna do a spiritual movie review because there's a lot of things that were in that movie that we can tie to the scriptures. Okay, so that's what we're gonna talk about. How righteous I mean the Heavenly Father's will is edifying to the elect. Okay, so the first thing, if you haven't seen the movie, like I said, I already put this a spoiler alert on this video because we are going to go into some details in the movie, that we saw and noticed. But anyways, pretty much, if you don't know what the movie was about, it was about vampires. Okay, so it was set in 1930s Mississippi, or 1920s maybe, 1920s Mississippi, and Michael B. Jordan, he played a set of twins, okay, called the Smokestack twins. All right, one was named Smoke, one was named Stack, and they were pretty much gangsters that had fled from they were from Mississippi, but they had went up to Chicago and they got involved with the mob, and they had robbed the Italians and the Irish mafia, took the money and came back down to Mississippi and wanted to set up like a club, okay, in their community, okay, in the Delta, which the Delta is an area of Mississippi. So anyways, everything is going good in the movie. They set everything up, all right, and then in the movie, an Edomite, which is actually a vampire, all right, he goes and he comes to the nightclubs they set up or whatever, and he starts getting people one by one. All right, and every time that he bites someone, obviously everybody knows what vampires are. That they turn into a vampire. Okay. Now, the reason why it was spiritual is because of the setting that it was set in. If you could, brother, now get Psalms 58 and 3. Yeah, that's the first one we're gonna get. All right, the setting that the movie was set in. In the movie, obviously, they're in 1920s Mississippi. There's a lot of racial tensions, and essentially, pretty much, the people that were in the movie, they understood who their enemies were, and whenever the Edomite would bite, a Jake, then he would flip. All right, pretty much he would get injected, with the poison, and he would flip, and he would become wicked. Okay, and that's pretty much what you see. All right, with Jake today, okay, and in the movie, the Edomite would use was what the scriptures call explicit or exquisite subtlety, okay, which I'm gonna go ahead and get that right quick. All right, and he would pretty much lure in, he pretty much try to lure in different Jakes, all right, by acting as if he came to do no harm, he just wanted to be part of the party, okay, and then Jake would get caught, and they would get bit. And then be turned, okay? So I got a quick precept on that out of the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19, all right? And I'm going to start at verse 25. It says, there is an exquisite subtlety, and the same is unjust. All right, and if you don't know what that word subtlety means, I'm going to get the definition of it. All right, subtlety, all right, in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says it means, let me see, Slakia, trying to pull it up. Okay, definition. It means, come on, Slakia. I don't know why. Nah, it's the thing is messing up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just give me a sec. You know what? I just Google it. Okay, subtlety definition. I know what it means, but I just want to pull it up on that. Okay. Subtlety. All right, here it is. So it says refers to the quality of being not immediately obvious or noticeable, often implying delicacy, refinement, or subtle, often a hidden quality. It says it can also refer to a small but important detail. In a broader sense, it can be described as cleverness or cunning, sly or indirect. Okay, so that's what he was doing. All right, in the movie, the Edomite would come up. He came up to the they call it a juke house, to where the party was happening at, and he was acting like he was coming to be a part of the party, and really he was just trying to kill as many people in there as he could. Okay, so I'll read that again. Sirach 19:25. There is an exquisite subtlety, and the same is unjust. And there is one that turneth aside to make judgment appear, and there is a wise man that justifieth in judgment. And I'm going to continue reading in verse 26. It says, there is a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit. Okay, so they told him, they said, now you can't come in here, you know. And he said, okay. He said, well, I'm gonna go back into town and walk real slow. If you change your mind, I'll be around. And he was trying to act like he was really just coming in there to join the party. You know, like I said, he was really coming in there to try to kill as many people as he could. All right. So it says he hangeth down his head sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit, casting down his countenance and making as if he heard not, where he is not known, he will do thee a mischief before thou be aware. All right, so acting like everything was all good, and then every time a Jake would leave the party, he would catch him slipping, he would bite him, and then Jake would be turned, and then he would become a vampire. Okay, so he'd be flipped. All right, so it was like that bite. That bite was like poison. You got that Psalms 58? Okay, that every time he would bite them, it would like poison them, and they would become evil. Okay, and that's the same thing that Esau has done. Okay, Esau is likened unto a serpent. Okay, that bites. All right, let me get that right quick. In Sirach, the 12th chapter. Okay, this is Sirach, chapter 12, and verse. I'm gonna start at verse. Let's see, verse 13. It says, "Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity?" Okay, so Esau was in that movie. He was playing he was a vampire, but spiritually he was the devil. And every time he bit you, he got you in his grasp. All right, then you would turn wicked. Okay, and that's pretty much what he did to the children of Israel. Starting off with the sons of God, all the way back to the garden. Okay, which is the reason why he's likened unto that serpent, or he really, he's likened unto a serpent. Excuse me. Go ahead and get that Psalms 58:3.
This is Psalms 58:3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
Right. All right. The wicked are estranged from the womb. As soon as they be born, they go speaking lies. Keep reading on that.
Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear. Right.
Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They're like a deaf adder that stoppeth her ear. Now, you go back to the story, you go back to the analogy of Adam and Eve, in the garden with the serpent, right? Which the serpent was a metaphor for a wicked man. Okay. How did he entice Eve? All right, by pretty much saying, well, did the Most High really say you couldn't do this? Did the Most High really say you couldn't do that? When Jake would get bit, eventually what had happened is they had gathered a whole crowd, and they had bit so many people that there was only like 5 or 6 people left inside the juke house. Okay, and all the Jakes that were out there with Esau that had gotten bit, they had been turned wicked, and they kept saying, they were telling them. The guys that were still in there that hadn't been turned yet, they were saying, well, come on out. It's better like this. It's better if you join us. Okay, and so their minds were poisoned. All right, now what does that represent spiritually? Okay, the ones that were in the juke house, they were resisting that temptation, because a couple times some of them almost went out there to join up with the vampires, right? Okay, the ones that stayed in that juke house though to resist the temptation, that's the men of the elect. Because what do we see? We see, just like in the movie, you had a bunch of Jakes that were following behind Esau, and pretty much were turning to devils, okay, because they were following behind that original devil, which was Esau in the movie. All right, and we see the same thing today. Okay, you have those few that are in the house. Can you give me Proverbs 18 and 10 right quick? All right, you have those few men that are, and women that remain in that jukebox or the juke house, okay, where they were having a party, and the vampires couldn't get into that. All right, but they were being tempted to come out and join with the wicked, and join with the vampires, and the vast majority of their people had joined with Esau in the movie. Okay, so go ahead and bring up that precept, Proverbs 18 and 10.
Okay. This is Proverbs 18 and 10.
Yep.
The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and is saved.
Okay, right. So that in the movie, for some reason the vampires were not able to get into the building for whatever reason, right? Okay, what does that represent? That represents the name of the Lord. Okay, that's the strong tower. All right, as long as they were within that strong tower, as long as they were in that building, okay, the devils that were outside, Esau and all of his minions that had been turned, they had no access to that building as long as they remained within that building, right? And also another spiritual thing in the movie was that the only way that eventually they got into the building, but only if they had permission to enter in. So what does that represent? That represents the only way that Esau, the devil, or any evil spirit can really come at you is if you give it access to. As long as you stay within the name of the Lord, the name of the strong tower, all right, then the evil spirits have no power over you. Let me get that right quick. Okay, that's why that name is so important. We just read it. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. The building represented that strong tower. Okay, the name of the Lord for us. This is John, the 17th chapter. All right, John chapter 17, and I'm going to start at verse, let's see. John chapter 17, I'm going to start at verse 9. It says, I pray for them, I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. That's talking about the elect. Okay, that's who Yahushua is concerned about on this side. It says, all mine are thine, and thine are mine, and I am glorified in them. It says, and now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to thee, Holy Father. Keep through thine own name those whom thou hast given me, that they may be as one as we are. Okay? So once again, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. You stay within that name, the evil spirits on the outside have no access to you, just like in the movie. Okay? As long as they were inside that building and they did not give the devils permission to come in, then they had no power to get to them. Okay? So that's how I saw it when I was watching it. All right. Another thing that I noticed when we was watching the movie is that when you seen it, there was very few people that were actually in that building, and there was way more. The whole world, like the whole crowd, had pretty much went out there and been turned by Esau. Okay. So what does that represent? All right. The elect is going to be a small number amongst the rest of our people that are going to join up with the devil. All right. And what do they try to do? They try to entice you to go out there with them and be turned, okay, to be bit by that serpent, so that you could, you could be poisoned by him. All right, 'cause that's what that represented. All right. So you got a precept?
Same.
Oh, no, that's.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's all good. But no, because that scripture it doesn't mean what you think it means.
Okay.
Yeah, well.
What I thought it meant, what it was talking about the wicked. But not listen. I mean, the righteous not listen to the wicked.
No, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't mean that. But it's like it. Okay, so anyways, what ends up happening in the movie is after it's like it. What ends up happening is pretty much everybody gets turned except for a few people, and then they have a way to kill the vampires. All right, but the only way they can kill them is through a wooden stake. Okay, so for us, the way to kill the vampires, to kill the wicked, will be through the sword. Okay, the spiritual sword, which is the scriptures. All right, you could get Hebrews 4:12.
All
Yeah, get Hebrews 4 and 12. So,
I got it.
okay, go ahead and bring that up.
This is Hebrews 4 and 12. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit.
Right, so the way that we kill the evil spirits, the vampires in the movie, is by bringing out the word. Okay, with them they had different magic incantations and garlic, and they had the wooden stake. Okay, and that's how they deleted the vampires. With us, our sword that works against them is this word. Okay, and the Lord has made it our mouths as a sharp sword. Let's go ahead and get that right quick. Isaiah 49 verses 1 and 2. It says, "Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. The Lord hath called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hid me." Okay, so our mouth is like a sharp sword, and that's how we cut down the lies of the wicked. Okay, in that movie, they had the voodoo witch. She was doing different spells and all that kind of stuff to stop the vampires from being able to come in there and all that. But with us, the word of the Lord is what destroys the wicked from being able to enter into, our temple. Okay. Now, another thing that I noticed in the movie was that they had to wait it out until the sun came up, until the light came up. That was only because they couldn't go out there and fight the vampires. There was too many of them. So what ended up happening is when the sun started coming up, if you know folklore, the vampires got set on fire. Okay, what does that represent? All right, that represents, like spiritually, Yahweh Shai at his coming. What is he going to do to all the vampires, to all the wicked? He's going to set them on fire. Okay, but now I get 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 6. Okay, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 6. And whenever Esau would bite, okay, the Edomite would bite a Jake, all right, what would happen to him is they would be turned into the vampire, but their mind would change. They would become evil. They become wicked. Okay, so they weren't thinking in their right mind. Before that, the Jakes that hadn't got bit yet, they were still normal. Okay, and what does that represent? That represents those that are bitten by Esau, bitten by the serpent and taken by his poison. Their minds are tainted, so they know not the Most High. Okay, they don't abide in the Most High. So what's going to happen at the coming of the Son, which is Yahweh Shai? In the movie, it was a literal sun, but the coming of the Son at Yahweh Shai, what's going to happen to them? They're going to be set on fire. Okay, go ahead and get 2 Thessalonians 1 and verse 6.
Thessalonians 1 and 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you.
Yep, keep going.
And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord, Yahweh Shai, shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels.
Yep, keep reading.
In flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord, Mashiach.
Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Keep reading.
Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power.
Okay, all right. So in the movie, when the sun came up, what happened? The original devil got burnt. All right, it burned him and all his little minions. It's gonna be the same thing. All the Jakes that get bit by the vampire, okay, which figuratively in real life, all the Jakes that have taken the poison of the serpent, okay, their minds have been changed away from the truth because they're falling behind the ways of the devil or the serpent, which in the movie was the head vampire. What happened when the sun came? When the sun came, all of them got scorched. Okay, what does that spiritually represent? All right, and on this side, when the sun comes, which is Yahweh Shai, give me Malachi the 4th chapter. When the sun comes, all those that are joined into the wicked, okay, all the Jakes that sided with Esau in the movie, what happened to them? When the original vampire, when the sun came up, all of them got set on fire. It's gonna be the same thing in real life. Okay, when the sun comes, Yahweh Shai, all the wicked that joined into Esau are gonna be set on fire. Okay, get Malachi 4 and 1.
Malachi 4 and 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch.
Right. Okay. All the proud, yea, all that do wickedly. And who are those that do wickedly? Those that follow behind Esau. Okay, all the people that was in the movie that went out there and they got bit by the vampire, what happened? They had a change of their mind changed, their spirit changed, and they started following behind the ways of the original devil, which was the original vampire, which was the Edomite. Okay, and what happened to them? When the sun came up, when the light shined forth, all of them burned. Okay, just like when our light comes, our light shines, Yahweh Shai, all these devils are gonna burn, man. Okay. But get the next verse, verse 2.
Verse 2, Malachi 4 and 2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of a stall.
Right. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. Okay, what did we read earlier in John 17th chapter? I keep them in thy name. Okay, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. Those that abide in that name, they had that covering and protection. Okay? It's just like when they were in that house, when they were in that building, as long as they didn't invite the devil in, he couldn't do nothing to them. Okay? And it's going to be the same thing with us. All right? As long as we abide in that strong tower, all right, when Yahweh Shai comes, that light, that sun comes up, it's going to burn all the wicked of the earth. But unto those that fear his name, that abide in his name, okay, shall he arise with healing in his wings. So when the sun came up, it represented death for the vampires, for the wicked, but it represented salvation and life for those that had not been turned and followed behind the ways of the wicked, even though everybody else that was with them did. Okay, same thing for us. So it's very, metaphorical. All right, I'm trying to think of we're gonna close out in a minute. I'm trying to think of anything else that I noticed in the movie that was very spiritual. Okay. One thing I did notice, the voodoo priestess, right? She ended up dying in the movie. Okay, she ended up dying in the movie. So, and even though the movie was really designed to try to turn you away from the scriptures. Okay, because they kept mentioning in the movie talking about how, how come the God of the Bible didn't do this or that, save us during slavery. They mentioned that a couple times, so they likely touched into it. But then Michael B. Jordan's character, he also said, well, how come your voodoo priest didn't, your voodoo prayers didn't save us, blah, 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 this and that. And then the voodoo woman ended up dying in the movie. She got deleted. Anyways, it was a good movie. Recommend going to see it for yourself. Maybe you brothers pick up on different things than I do. Those are the things that I noticed. I noticed, like I said, that the main devil, the original vampire, was an Edomite. And what was he doing? He was enticing and flipping Jakes to turn to his side. And then when he went down, all the Jakes that were with him, they all went down too. Okay? And like I said, the building that they were in, I saw it as a metaphor for the strong tower, the name of the Lord being that strong tower. As long as you stayed in that building, that strong tower, then you were safe from all the wickedness that was going on outside. Okay? So that's just my spiritual analysis. Maybe brothers, pretty sure every brother come up with something slightly different, different things they picked up on. You got anything that you noticed?
No. That was good. That was a good synopsis of everything. I would say that those were the main points. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we'll close it out with that. All right. Yahweh Righteous was edifying. As always, we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and the only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Yep. Double honors to the head apostles / other bishops of the great millstone, who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere Akim. Keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of whether people hear or whether they forbear. Until next time, shalom, and abide with all.